Well, guys, we're here back again. Another week of the Fuck My Life podcast episode number 34. Ryan, how are you doing? You survived another week. Congratulations.
I did survive another week. An okay weekend, so actually it wasn't that bad. But back on the grind again. Here's a Monday. Here's another work week started. Mondays are the worst. Monday was a good time to do this. Like, as much as I complain about this during football season and everything, it is the right day to do Fuck My Life because everybody hates Mondays. Nobody likes going back to work and all that shit. Not that I have a weekend, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, right. It's like it's the beginning of another fucking week, and that's the problem. So, like, oh, t- a Friday stream, Thursday stream. It's not the same level of doom and gloom because it's like going into the weekend. This trash week is finally wrapping up. Like Tuesday to Wednesday, that's also a little bit too upbeat. So Mondays is perfect.
I think so. I think it's perfect for the show. It sucks for life, but yeah.
Yeah, well,
Because then everybody else in the chat's in a bad mood because most of them, not everybody, but most people probably just said your first day at work back. So
yeah.
you're coming home, you're fucking pissy, you're annoyed, which is exactly what we want this stream to be quite honest. So it works.
Yeah, that's true. But also with Mondays, luckily, the shining light in this story is that there's so many different things that happen on Mondays
Weekend.
because, right, nothing happens on the weekend or like only a couple of small things happen. And so all of the news is just being crammed into the first day of the week. So luckily we have a couple good topics to talk about every single week, unless we rant for like 45 minutes about like loot boxes and how like loot boxes and predatory monetization in video games is like bullshit. That was what, 2 weeks ago, I think.
I think it had to have been more than that.
I don't know. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. We were ranting about that shit for like 45 minutes. We ended the stream. We were like, we talked about nothing this stream. Because we had so many things lined up. But
it had to be longer than that ago. I do remember. And I maintained my position that if people are fucking dumb enough to fucking pay that, go for it. Because unlike you, Vera, I play a lot of sports games in which the idea of like the loot box stuff and the opening packs and the like that stuff, that's what those games are like. That's where they make all their fucking money.
It's funny we're talking about sports games and like EA being predatory because I recently got a CIB of SSX Tricky because I realized that my mom and I used to play only sports games. We only used to play snowboarding games, like Guitar Hero. Yeah. Like, and because she asked me, she's like, I want a GameCube with SSX Tricky. And so I went down the rabbit hole of like buying all these games and like Tony Hawk, and we were talking about it. But this was like before EA was like, shit, we're going to charge you guys like a fucking grand for like one soccer player in our retard game that we're just going to come out with another fucking edition for in 11 other months.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, I play more sports games than you probably. I would assume.
Oh yeah, no.
But I don't fucking. I'm not doing those microtransactions. I'm not paying that shit. You know what I mean? And I have a perfectly good time. So like I'm sure there are people that want to play, like they want everything. They're hunting for those packs or doing all that shit. And if they want to fucking throw their money away, whatever. But I don't.
Well, right. Because it's like, it's like we talked about. I think if adults want to do that, they can, but at the same time,
and everyone's always like,
microtransactions,
but I just think of the children. Think of the children who might have their parents' credit cards. That's their parents' fucking fault.
Right. Why do you let your child just take a fucking credit card? Like, why would you ever do that? So blame the parents, not the companies. I mean, you could still blame the companies for putting these microtransactions in a game in the first place, but if nobody was buying them, then that wouldn't have been normalized.
Yeah. PCE says one of the biggest waste of your lifetime is playing sports video games. I mean, we are on a channel in which Vera has streamed some of the worst games known to fucking mankind. Yet me playing me buying Madden every couple years is the biggest waste of my time because I enjoy it because I like playing through a football season with my football team. That's the waste. Okay.
I recently played through, well, I gave up 2 streams in. It's called People of Note, and of course it's got rainbows and shit. Erika Ishii's character is a hypocritical druggie who judges everybody and then has to admit on a stage to like millions of people that she actually is addicted to this drug, and she wants everybody to pat her on the back for coming out and admitting that.
Nice.
It's great. It's great.
That's
I love
incredible.
life. You know, maybe if you actually played a video game every once in a while, you'd have more to contribute. But otherwise, hey, it might be shit that I'm playing, but at least I'm playing it.
I've been playing NBA 2K. That's what I've been playing.
Uh-huh.
What?
We're going on how many months of Reloaded now? When are we gonna get it?
It's gonna happen
Ryan?
before Japan, all right?
Japan is at the like middle to end of May, so all
End
right.
of May.
Oh, end of May. All right. So, hey, I mean, you could say that. I'll believe you for now. But David, thank you for the 5. Hail the panel, and Vera, you need to watch the movie, The Hunting Matthew Nicholas. It had Blair Witch vibes. Ryan, Daredevil season 2 sucked. I was wrong. I haven't heard of that. I like the Blair Witch. I like a lot of found footage movies, but I have no interest in Daredevil season 2. Like, I haven't watched it. I need to, but
I have watched it just because we reviewed it on FNT, and
right.
it's funny actually. The Luke Cage actor posted a bunch of pictures, and kind of fucking may have spoiled like the end of season 2 in a way.
Really?
Yeah. And now people are like, oh, they're using this storyline, and there's like I don't want to say it in case there happens to be anybody who's actually invested, so I won't say it. He did end up deleting the post, but it's obviously all over Twitter. What's that motherfucker's name? Mike Coulter, I think that's his name. So you can search him up if
correct.
you want.
Damn. I mean, again, that does suck for anybody who is invested in it. It's like, even when I talk about games like Marathon or Suicide Squad or all these trash games, I don't want people to feel like disappointed that they basically are getting, or they feel like they're getting scammed from these companies. Like, if you were excited enough to watch it or to buy it, like, I hope it's good for you. But also, you'd think that at this point these actors would kind of like know how to act and know what to post and what they can't post, but maybe they just don't care.
I think that some of them, like, we've known Mike Coulter was going to be in it. We know his return as Luke Cage, all that stuff. But
right.
I mean, honestly, I think that some actors are going to be disconnected enough with the plot sometimes of what's going on to maybe even know what a spoiler is or not.
Yeah, because they don't always record things in a row. They don't know which like clips are going into which episodes.
Yeah,
things like that.
That's kind of what I think. Like, certainly,
yeah,
when you're doing something like Spider-Man No Way Home, you know that you're hiding that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are back as Spider-Man. Like,
right.
You know that's being hidden. That's something you want to protect. But for this, I guess it's a little bit different. Especially when it's like kind of behind the scenes stuff. A lot of it was like behind the scenes little selfies or whatever, and ones with Matt in an outfit that kind of spoils something. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it does make sense. I just like, it always sounds shocking when you hear of situations like that, but I guess like it is what it is. Just whenever you're excited about anything, don't look at social media because you are bound to get it spoiled for you, or you're bound to get some sort of teaser you weren't looking for. Just that simple. But Corey, thank you for the 2. Vera, you looked a little uncomfortable on Simcast. I wasn't. I had a good time. It was fun. It's always an interesting time. Lots of funny jokes are made. We reacted to like First Amendment audit, which was cool. absolute fucking trolls. But yeah, it was a good time. Thank you for the 2.
I mean, I'm sure it was probably like, very high level conversations,
Exactly. Lots of like super intellectual talks. Yeah.
That's what Simcast is known for, I believe. So that makes sense.
Exactly. True. Also, hi Dan, I do see you in chat. Hope you're
Dan
doing good.
Vask, what's he doing here?
Just hanging out. EA used to be so good.
I
It's
wonder if
very
Dan's
sad.
watching us on his fake CRT TV that he got. You think so?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, it would make sense.
I hope so. I mean, look,
Yeah,
everything used to be better. And
that's true.
the people who are at some of these companies have not been there for a very long time for the most part, is the
Yeah.
way it is. But to be like, a lot of people complain about sports games nowadays, but at the same time, they're selling like fucking hotcakes, man. They're hyper popular. And my biggest complaint about the sports games are that not the microtransactions, not the fucking packs, not the my team stuff, not any of that. My biggest complaint is that you're selling a full price game every single year. And there are some years where they're almost exactly the fucking same, where there is
Yeah.
essentially no change other than a roster update. That's my biggest complaint about those sports games. But
E-
bro, EA Sports, it's in the game, is a part of my childhood, hearing that when I
Yeah.
would fucking load up Madden.
And now you're never gonna get that childhood back because these companies fucking suck now. Also, Dan says
Yeah.
EA killed Maxis. Maxis still makes Sims. They still develop it. But yeah, EA does basically kill everything it touches. Absolutely. Dev, thank you for the 199. No message, but much appreciated. Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Dev.
Mikey Gusler, thanks for the 5. Did you see the Crope Cat video? Resident Evil 4 is timeless. Resident Evil 4 Remake is a product of its time. It's part 2 of him bringing receipts for his hatred of the Resident Evil 4 Remake. I didn't see that, but I also would, just without hearing his talking points, I would kind of agree. It's a decent remake. It's not terrible, and it's definitely not as bad as like the Resident Evil 3 remake, but it definitely didn't quite capture the same magic as the OG Resident Evil 4. Both still good, but the new one is kind of different.
I did not see it, actually.
Have you ever played Resident Evil 4?
I have.
Okay, I'm just making sure because
That's one
like,
of the few
I think
that I actually played.
That's like a staple game, I'd say.
That's one of the few that I've actually played, and I understand that it's much different than like I played the original Resident Evil like at a friend's house. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how far back that was. Like I played it at a friend's house. It was some sleepover, whatever the fuck it was. I don't know. And so I never got super into it. Resident Evil 4 is the first one I actually played. And it's obviously much different. Like it very much broke the mold for what Resident Evil games were at the time.
Yeah, it was much more action oriented, sort of go. Resident Evil 2 is my favorite Resident Evil, but 4 is really good and pretty close in score, I'd say. Have you ever played Resident Evil 2?
I don't think so, but maybe.
It's the best.
I'm not a huge Resident Evil fan. I'm not your other co-host who shall not be named. Okay.
Stop being so salty, Ryan. You're gonna survive. You will.
We'll see.
But all right. Thank you guys, of course, for your donations. Very grateful. I had seen this on my X feed. I think it was yesterday when this rumor started circulating. I saw it, instantly fucking scrolled past it. But for anybody who's invested in the George R.R. Martin Winds of Winter saga, first of all, why are you still putting your trust and faith into this man? But George R. R. Martin's U.S. publisher has debunked the alleged The Winds of Winter leak that had started gaining traction online a couple of days ago, really started blowing up like yesterday. And I mean, it was a pretty short response, just like the online chatter you're seeing regarding like any supposed leak is false. Like, this isn't what's happening right now. Not that shocking.
Well, look, the thing was it was on 4chan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I remember the text wall, I believe it was a 4chan text wall, and it was, "Hey, I work for was it fucking Bantam or whatever? I work for them, and I can't get too into it because I don't want to lose my job, but we got the draft for Winds of Winter a month ago, and it's been going through the editing process, and I can't say too much, but let's just say it's 1,600 manuscript pages, and it's basically, what did he say? Feast for Crows and Dance of Dragons all put together, and it's fuck off. Like, you know how I know that shit's not true? And there's other people that are like, my sources tell me it's been done for. And it's like, y'all motherfuckers don't know shit. I guarantee you, as soon as George R. R. Martin dots the last fucking period of Winds of Winter, which I don't think he'll ever finish, but as soon as he does that and turns it over to his publisher, he's going to write a blog post and be like, you guys have been after me for forever for this, and I finally got it done, so fuck off. Like, that's what he's going to do. Like,
Yeah.
because he will absolutely want to be free of that fucking burden. And he'll say it's in the editing process or whatever. Like,
Well, right, because he has been facing public scrutiny for so long now. And anytime he goes to any sort of panel or event, or anytime he's asked any sort of questions, it's always, when are we getting Winds of Winter? Or can you give us an update? Can you give us a sneak peek? Can you drop any information on this? And so, don't don't you think that he would want to just say himself, yep, it's out of my hands now?
yes, because he is salty, as he hates that people are constantly badgering him over it. He's saltier than I am about your fucking competing show with Wicked Virtue, right? He is salty as fuck. And he hates that this is the only thing people care about. He's mad that no one else cares about wild cards. He's mad that nobody else cares about his other fucking projects for his dead friend, whoever the fuck. We don't care, George. No one gives a fuck about your dead friend. We care that you're old and fat and lazy, and you're never gonna fucking finish this story. That's the only thing people care about. Well, and now he's lucky because now people are like, you know what? If he never finishes, but gives us more dunk and egg, that'll be great. Yeah, we'll fucking see about that.
Right.
We'll
Now
see.
people's like attention has shifted just a tiny bit. And I do actually think that we are going to get more Dunk and Egg. And I don't just mean like the show. I mean, and like the
Yeah.
notes that he gave them and Ira Parker. I mean, I think he'll actually publish more Dunk and Egg. But also, that's got to be pretty easy for him. Again, I still believe the theory I came up with that his fucking ghostwriter died, but that's got to be a lot easier to just churn out those types of stories because they are so short. And while, yes, he needs to fit into like the rough timeline he has and has to know general like ages and sure who the king is and like what they were known for in their reign. Besides that, it's very easy to just tell an isolated story away from having 500 characters with 30 different storylines and making sure all of the dates add up very specifically. Like, that's just not the case for this.
It is much easier. I will say, like, because it is George and because all these fucking characters and families have history and shit like that, it's not exactly like as easy as just sitting down and writing a random short story because so much of it's connected. And obviously he does a lot of ties into things that matter within the main storyline and echoes of the past, visions of the future, like all these types of things, right? But in principle, yes, it should be way easier for him to write 125 pages of a random adventure in Winterfell. By the way, do you think that when we get She-Wolves of Winterfell, we're going to get a scene of Dunk plowing old Nan?
I mean, shit, it wouldn't be a bad scene. I mean, she was talking about him, so why not?
Well, I mean, because like everyone thinks that Hodor is a descendant of Dunk, you know?
Right.
So
Well, it makes sense. Like, you know
yeah,
that
there's no other
Brienne is
tall people in the world.
confirmed. Like, Hodor is like a central character, a pretty important character. And
Yes,
yes, he's
there were no
fucking
tall people in
massive.
Westeros. There were no tall people in Westeros before Dunk fucked his way
Basically
through.
true.
Yeah,
But
no tall people.
we are talking like
Even though
comically
Silly Pate
tall
said, "I've
people.
armored bigger" or whatever.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, hey, look, I think George's writing is pretty great. I do think that Dance with Dragons fell off. It's not even close to being my favorite of his work. I still would be interested in a continuation, but yeah, I'm also on the boat now where I would just rather have more Dunk and Egg. Because these characters just if the story that he started to tell was too complicated, I just think that it's better that we get something rather than nothing. At least in my opinion. We're probably never gonna fucking get either.
I look. I would love it if he came out tomorrow and Winds of Winter came out, and hopefully it would be awesome. Who knows? I would love it if Dream of Spring actually came out and we get to see the story in totality. I would love it for it to happen. I don't have any faith in it at all in any way, but you know, I would just 100% give it a shot because of what he's done before in this universe. I just don't see it happening. And DJ Skylo says Ryan and Vera are shippers. No, we're theory crafting, okay?
Hey, at least Ryan's not showing up
shipping.
this time like this guy's time traveling, that guy's time traveling, this other character that I've never fucking heard of is time traveling. We have the fucking glass candles that make Danny Quaithe and the time traveling.
Quaithe is time traveling Daenerys. That's why she doesn't show her face, because it's actually Danny's face, but old.
Right, right.
Why you think that's crazy, huh?
I do kind of think that's crazy, yeah.
You think Quaithe is Shiera Seastar?
I think that I might be a little bit more interested in that theory.
It would be interesting.
Yeah, because she was, I don't know, I thought she was a cool character, but of course you barely know anything about her except
she's
for
a fucking witch
she's
who
fucking
bathes in
hot
blood.
and
Yeah.
she bathes in blood. Besides that, like you basically know nothing about her.
She's beautiful. She's a fucking whore who loves Bloodraven, but also really likes to make him jealous by fucking his half brother. Maybe not even fucking, but just like flirting, I guess.
I mean, what else is there to truly know, right? That sounds pretty.
She's time traveling Quaithe or something.
Hey, it's a good theory. It's an interesting theory, but is it a theory that will ever be confirmed? Probably fucking not. I mean, George admits that he regrets killing off Maester Aemon, so like
maybe he's not dead.
I think George doesn't actually think that far ahead.
Didn't
George is like, how can I write resurrection magic into this in a fucking easy way that can happen in like 2 chapters?
No, not resurrection magic. What if Aemon like just fell asleep? Like he wasn't actually dead, but they thought he was dead. What didn't they put him into like a cask of wine?
I do not remember actually.
Didn't they? I swear to God, didn't they put
that sounds like a very specific detail, yeah.
I felt like in order to preserve his body, like while they were on the ship so he didn't rot, I felt like they, maybe I'm making this up, maybe it's a fever dream.
I mean, you might be.
Put his body into a like barrel of wine, like to preserve it. What if that fucking wine just gets shipped somewhere and he wakes up, he's like, oh, that was a good nap. I don't know. You could do it.
Ryan, you've got some absolutely fucking retarded theories.
That one is retarded. I don't think some of the other
is.
ones are.
True. Well, the way you describe them is really retarded. Now, if you actually go on social media and you like read these fan theories, right, and somebody's lays out like 400 points of detail as to why they think that, you think, sure, this person's fucking schizo, but you also think they could have a point. So,
Somebody says it was rum. Yeah, I think it was rum. Yeah. So I was remembering
yeah,
mostly correctly. It was some form of alcohol.
that's pretty good though.
Imagine, I just want to see this scene of Sam carrying Eamon's body while he's throwing up seasick and just dumping him in a fucking barrel of rum.
That'd be pretty good. Only in our dreams, though, unfortunately, because we're never fucking getting anything else, but it is what it is. Glitch Hunter, thank you for the 10. None of the Resident Evil remakes hit the mark, sans one. The one remake is a worthy successor as it was directed by Shinji Mikami, who actually made it because he was bored. So of course, Resident Evil 2 is my favorite Resident Evil, the OG. I like the Resident Evil 2 remake, but again, I do think that it was a little bit different than maybe like sort of what some people were expecting. I don't think that it is bad though, but I also don't think that the 4 remake is bad. I just think that going into playing any sort of remake, even though I'd rather them like just not make them because there's no point if you're just going to change content, but you also need to sort of like realize that you're not going to get back to the good old days. And so you're never going. I personally don't think that you're ever really going to get a remake that does full justice to the original material. I've never played a remake where I thought, oh my God, this is literally perfection. There's always some kind of small issue or some kind of small problem or slight alteration that is, disappointing. But yeah, I mean, Shinji Mikami is great. So makes sense why you think it's the best because it's good.
So
Thermal scope.
I did a quick
Oh, yeah.
fact check because some people are like, I don't think you remember that right, Ryan. So
It sounds like too specific of a detail, so I figured you were just correct or like you were only slightly off. Like when they said, "Oh, it's rum instead," I was like, yeah, you're probably fucking right."
Mace
Yeah.
Draymond's body is preserved in a cask of black belly rum after he passes away on the Cinnamon Wind. Sam Tarley and the crew store him in the barrel to preserve his body for the long journey back to Old Town as they cannot properly burn him at sea.
Right, which makes sense.
But we never see that. But again, we don't never see them burn him once they get there. So
He's just chilling.
he maybe just took a couple drinks, a couple swigs. And
Yeah,
that's all he needs. Old people don't eat a lot.
that is true. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for the detail, Ryan. Very grateful. But
That's
it did sound too specific of a detail for you to like be just fucking completely misremembering. It did sound familiar. I just was like, really? Like I didn't even fully fucking remember it.
it's just so like, bro, this old man just died and you shoved him in a
it's
fucking barrel. Like
yeah.
you probably had to break his limbs to get him in there or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty fucking morbid. Stands out to me.
Yeah.
And that's such like a, I don't know, Mace Draymond's death is a pretty big deal.
It is, yeah.
For like everything for Sam.
George regrets
for,
it.
you know,
So, I mean, it makes sense.
get fucked, George.
Yeah.
Maybe if you finish your story within, I don't know, a decade, then maybe you wouldn't have all these regrets and all this time to fucking ruminate on all this shit.
It's true. Thermal scopes. Thank you for the 5. Ryan, I heard you write smutty Harry Potter fan fiction. You strike me as someone that would write stories where Harry gives Voldemort his big wand. Care to comment?
I do not write any Harry Potter fanfic. I'm aware of some that's out there. I'm not a consumer. I just know things because I remember things when they get talked about. The only one I have any like true knowledge about is the Manacled one.
Manacled, yeah.
Which is
but that's because it's getting a movie deal, or is it a TV show or is it a movie?
It's a movie. So
it's a movie.
It's not getting a movie, but the bitch who wrote Manacled, which is probably the most well-known Harry Potter fan fiction, which is smutty. It's about a war in which, the good guys lost and the bad guys win, and Muggleborns are enslaved to use for breeding and shit, which doesn't make any sense. Because shouldn't you not want them to breed? I don't know. But Hermione's in prison in Malfoy Manor, and like Draco's like her captor essentially, and he fucking rapes her over and over again, but they end up falling in love. The only reason I know anything about that is because that the woman got offered a book deal to write that book, but change it from the Harry Potter universe. So invent her own universe, but keep the same story.
Well,
And then that book is getting made into a movie.
So, right, the reason why it's getting made into a movie is because she has already republished Manacled as a book.
Right.
And that happened, like, I think last year, maybe. And that's why she got the deal, because it sold, like, millions upon millions and millions of copies. And it's fucking wild that a story like that gets so popular. But hey, women
There's a
these
lot of
days.
horny women out there.
Yeah, right? Like, that's just the way that it goes. It's like up until a couple years ago, what was it? 50 Shades of Grey was like the most popular book amongst women, like modern women readers, and not counting the classics.
I've never even seen that movie, let alone read that book. But no, I don't write Harry Potter fanfic. It exists, and there's a fuck ton of it. And most of it involves some fucking either some sexual story or some gay story. And that's like the weirdest shit, because when all of them include that shit, it's because there's some sort of degeneracy that you desperately need that. Like, you're not just, I actually really enjoy a lot of Harry Potter theory videos, and oh god, I actually really enjoy a lot of Harry Potter theory videos or Harry Potter what if videos. Same with Game of Thrones, stuff like that. But it's about like the characters and the overall arcs and, you know, what's happening in this universe. Not about not about Sirius and James butt fucking behind the Whomping Willow, you know. But that's what all these people are obsessed with, it seems like.
Yeah, also, yes, 50 Shades was a Twilight fan fiction that ended up getting like rewritten and then was published, correct? So a lot of fan fictions go the distance, apparently. But it doesn't look like a game that recently came out is going to quite go the distance. I've had to talk too fucking much about Marathon, but we're going to talk about it again, because why the hell not? Marathon has not had the super positive release that Sony probably expected. Sony spent $3.6 billion on Bungie. Only thing they've gotten is Destiny 2. That's it. And Destiny 2 is dead now. And Marathon is supposed to be the game that was supposed to be around for the next several years, up until they decided finally it was time to release another game. Marathon's another just live service swap title, and it's already dying. No shocker there. Didn't quite get the traction they initially thought. 2 weeks ago, we heard it had sold about 1.2 million copies overall and priced at $40. That's not as much as they were probably wanting in that time period. People had estimated it needed to sell like 7 to 10 million copies for it to be deemed a success. Now we are hearing that Marathon reportedly had a budget of over $200 million, closer to $250 million. And I'm sure a lot of you already could have guessed, the media is coping, saying, while the pressure is on Bungie to gain more players, guys, it is not facing an imminent Concord-style shutdown, which is just too funny, because with Highguard, it doesn't matter if we have 10 players or 10 million players, guys. All we care about is that our players are happy, which in a perfect world should be a great thing. That they just care about making their audience happy. They just care about making a game that's going to resonate with an audience, even if it's a small audience. But the problem is when you put hundreds of millions of fucking dollars into a game, it can't have just a couple of people playing it.
Yeah, what are the numbers? It's been flirting around. It's been hopping between like what 10 and 20,000 basically on dailies, and it's there's a big downward trend after its release. And look, we live in an era where there's so much shit that's out there to play that you can find really easily. It's very easy to just go on Steam and find a million different things to play. So the idea of putting $250 million into something like this, and I get it, it's Bungie, right? They have a history, they have a track record of success when it comes to these games. So yeah, give them whatever they want. But yes, is this going to shut down in 2 weeks like Concord? No. Is this going to shut down in fucking 4 weeks like we saw with Highguard? Probably not. But it does seem like the writing's probably on the wall. Unless they can pull something out of their ass and they do a big update and do something to get more people in, you know, if you've already sold the vast amount of copies that you're going to sell, and say you get up to, 1.5 or even 2 million, say you get 2 million copies at $40 per, that does not mean that it's $80 million in the pocket of Bungie or Sony.
Well, right.
Because you have platform fees, you have all these other things that go in there. So not only do you still have to make up that $250 million budget, but you still have to pay people who are actively working on this game for updates, for bugs, for all of this shit. So unless there is a big increase in player count, it's not going to be sustainable.
Well, right, and this is another problem entirely, is that $200 to $250 million is just development. That also does not take into consideration the marketing. And we know that they had paid a large amount of top percentage streamers on YouTube and Twitch to stream this game. So those people probably got millions of dollars of a marketing budget. It was highlighted at award shows and different industry events. Plus, they send out things like PR packages. They do advertisements on platforms like Twitch and YouTube and X. And so that is a lot of extra money that is being added on top of that. And so should a game ever have a $400 million, let's say for argument's sake, budget overall, the complete picture? Probably fucking not. But Sony also is willing to shove hundreds of millions of dollars towards games that they're going to shut down if they don't do good. Look at what happened with Concord. That was estimated on the high end $500 million overall, and the more reasonable estimates were like 350 to 400, but either way, that is still a lot of money. And so Sony is greenlighting a lot of games around this general budget range. They're the same types of games, really. They're either hero shooters or first person shooters. They're all live service, and they still have others coming out like Fair Games. I don't even know if you remember Fair Games, but that was the Eat the Rich, Hit the Rich game that Jade Raymond had started the studio for. And then she had left the studio, and then there were reports of it being canceled. So that's another live service, just modern slop game that is now in development hell, that's probably going to have millions and millions of dollars shoved into it.
It's just, look, when they dropped that first trailer for Marathon, I was just very turned off by the art style behind it.
Yeah.
I've always thought, look, I played some Destiny back. I never played Destiny. Actually, I did play Destiny 2. Now that I think about it, for a little bit. I played a decent amount of Destiny back in the day, and I enjoyed the style of it. I enjoyed
like Destiny 1. I didn't get into Destiny 2.
I liked the outfits. I liked everything. You know what I mean? So even though maybe the gameplay got monotonous at times, and it's like, I'm done with this for a while, I enjoyed looking at it, and I enjoyed being in that world. When I haven't played Marathon, but when I looked at it and when I saw the trailers, when I've seen the gameplay, it just looks, it has such a very strange art style that even though it should feel somewhat unique, but it looks bland as fuck. And I mean, this is after they went through a big controversy with the art department when they got caught, stealing somebody's entire portfolio and had to do a bunch of redesigns and everything. And I just don't care, man.
Well, right. And hey, listen, guys, plagiarism, not good. But the fact that they plagiarized a bunch of art shit for this game, I'm sorry. That's not a good look. Hey, they still shouldn't plagiarize, but also they couldn't come up with anything better on their own. Nothing better that they created themselves. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty bad. I also agree. I think that the art style is trash. I do not like it.
Yeah, I just it's not for me. This is actually one of the thumbnail that you're showing there is actually one of the more unique styles I've seen in it, whereas so many of them just look bland as fuck.
Yeah, and like not I mean, I only played it for a couple of hours, but not every character looks this way. This is like the most interesting design out of all of the designs, and even she just doesn't look very great. But Ryan, let's play the guessing game. How many players do you think are in Marathon right now on Steam?
14,000. No. 12,000.
12,000? Is that
Yeah.
your last guess?
Final answer.
All right. Final answer. Whew!
Okay.
Damn, you were wrong, Ryan.
Oh,
How
it's
could
it's
this
about to
happen?
hit. I should have factored in the time. This is like peak gaming time,
It
to be
is
honest with you.
peak gaming time. That's true.
It's peak gaming time, so
Yeah. Another thing that I think they did, which was really dumb in my opinion, is they added new content 3 weeks after release called Cryo Archives, but it's only available on the weekend. And they're probably factoring for like, oh, only a certain percentage of people are going to play this because apparently it's like super hardcore content, super difficult. Why would you ever want to release end game content, the content you asked journalists to withhold their reviews for until it came out and then only have it out on the weekend? So even on the weekend though, it's not hitting insane numbers, 28K, 26K, 27K, but we haven't gotten even close to its all-time peak for weeks. I mean, it had gotten to like 50 to 55 a couple of weeks after, but still not even the 90 it had hit nearly. It's just a
and
bad look.
you know, the 250 million, that doesn't even include the marketing they did for this.
Right.
And at this point, that's not just random ads you see or whatever. It's also paying people to play it for a while and shit. I don't know. Like,
Right.
I don't know how much that costs. I've never been given money to play a game before. So I don't know what those things look like. But I have to
Well, I
imagine.
gave you a game in hopes you might even play it for like 3 minutes, and I still haven't even gotten my investment. So, I mean, if I was a gaming company, there's no fucking shot. I'd be like, hey, Ryan Kinnell of RK Outpost, will you stream my fucking game? You know, I'm gonna pay you big bucks.
That's
No
fair.
comment.
That's
Yeah.
fair. I have no
But now,
comeback.
but now the media is also fucking like coping. Yes, I do agree. The game isn't going to be shut down tomorrow. It's not going to be shut down in a week. It's not going to be shut down in a month. I personally don't know if I'm convinced that it will make it past the 1 year mark. Maybe it will. Maybe Sony's just like, we have to sink money into it because otherwise we're not, there's nothing that Bungie's going to have out on the market. But the media is also running now. Well, while the player numbers are dipping, the team morale remains good and there's high stakes, but they're willing to rise to the occasion and rise to the challenge, and they're going to be trying their best. I mean, I'd hope that they'd try their best, but also why can't they just why weren't they trying their best before release? I don't know. Maybe if they put a little bit more time and work and effort into it, it would be going better for them. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad that their team morale is good, but I don't think that their player morale is very good given a lot of people have already stopped talking about it, which is another issue with live service games. You need to basically constantly be releasing content because you need people to constantly be going back to it in order to sell microtransactions.
Yeah, so that you need that consistent player base. And because when we talk about the 1.5 million copies sold or whatever it is, obviously they're making money on microtransactions for people who are consistently playing the game, so that's a big part of it. But I don't think they're making enough to justify this, depending on how long it goes. And I we'll see. I guess I think that Bungie has a much longer leash than, say, the developer of Concord, right?
Because they're sort of grandfathered in this industry now.
And I actually think that's fair, right? I think that's fair for them to have a little bit of a longer leash. And they have a significantly bigger player count than some others, and it's sustained well more than something like Highguard did, right? In terms of a couple weeks out, and it's still sitting here hitting, 20,000 players, as opposed to what we saw happen with Highguard very, very quickly. But we also heard a lot of this same messaging from Highguard before it inevitably did get shut down.
Right.
And some of the people there had a pretty good track record.
The makers of Titanfall and Apex Legends.
Yeah, exactly.
But just because you made something good previously doesn't mean you can still make something good today. It's like David Jaffe, for example. David Jaffe went off on his own. He couldn't recreate a God of War, even if he wanted to. And so just because somebody previously did something and a studio was known for sort of this level of high quality storytelling and gameplay and quality, yeah, it doesn't mean they're going to be able to live up to those expectations. But I do think that Marathon is going to stay around at least for a while. I do think, though, that as we, get closer to maybe a 1 year mark, that's when we really could start hearing about there being problems with the game and rumors about Sony wanting to sort of kill things off.
That's a long time away.
It is, but I mean, the game's already been out for a month and a half, right? So I don't know, time flies when you're fucking annoyed all the time, you hate everything, and you're gay as hell, retarded as hell. So
I can't believe it's April.
Yeah, middle of April, not even just April.
Fuck me. That shit's crazy. Why'd you have to bring up David Jaffe? I feel like, initially you told me that he had a thing for you. I'm wondering.
Because he is the perfect example of just because they did something good 20 years ago doesn't mean that they could still make something good today. Okay. It's unfortunate, but he's the best fucking example of that. Hey, give me 3 other examples. I'll never mention him again. I would be happy not to.
I think you like mentioning him. That's kind of what I'm getting at. I think you've got a soft spot for David Jaffe. And it's kind of like, elementary school. You're picking on somebody.
I do fucking love dunking on him. It is kind of funny. I mean,
I love dunking.
Come on. He's so stupid. And he's so desperate for fucking attention. So here, I'll give him the attention. You fat retard. It's fine with me. That's the way it goes. Pepper, thank you for the $10. Herman Hulst has lost Sony more than $1 billion on these stupid live services. He still has a job. If I lost my employer $100, I'd end up in a river chained to a truck axle. He is such an interesting case. I really want to know what material he's got on the people at Sony at this fucking point, because it's true. He's the one who sort of scouted Firewalk and decided that he wanted to buy Firewalk for Concord. He really believed Concord was going to be the next Overwatch, the next big thing. Spent hundreds of millions of dollars on that flop. You've got Bungie. And yeah, true, Bungie had been in the industry for a very long time, done some crazy things, but at the same time, we clearly see that it's not the same people that made those other games. And so, yeah, Herman Hulst is definitely an interesting guy when it comes to the Sony saga. I mean, God, I guess it is what it is. He can keep losing that money. I think it's great. If Sony wants to lose a few $1 billion every year, who am I to tell them that they can't?
It's true.
It's like Disney. It's fine if Disney wants to lose a few $1 billion every year.
I mean, it's It is. You also have to wonder how much money is Sony making, period, to offset all those losses. And
Well,
so,
Sony does make the most money in the video game industry. It's
yeah.
Sony,
So,
Tencent, and they're pretty close. And then it's like Microsoft. And then you get into, like the Nintendos, so and the NetEases and things like that. But yeah, Sony makes a boatload off of video games, and they probably figure, yeah, I mean, as long as we're not losing, $20 billion a year on video games, then we'll just keep doing what we've been doing.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
And Dev, thank you for the 199 shots. We do take shots at $50. Thank you, thank you. Oh yeah, I did bring the new alcohol bottle.
There you go. I won't need a new one for a while,
Yeah. Well,
But if we did shots for a 199 super chat, we would
we'd
die.
just die,
quickly.
right? We'd literally just fucking die. So we can't do it for 199. But I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you.
Over on Rumble, because we do stream over on Rumble.
What? We stream on Rumble.
We do. Mad Dog says, tell Gary to stop streaming at the same time as you guys on Monday. Can't watch both. Fucking you tell him. As you guys said on Monday, or hold on. Also, Gurm Publisher came out and said the leak was fake, which means they never do, which means it's coming. It's not coming, Mad Dog.
I don't know if I believe that it's definitely happening because they feel like they are needing to respond. A similar situation actually happened with Fable, where there were rumors circulating that they were going to be delaying Fable because of GTA 6, and then they went on social media and they basically had said, oh, it's like, can't wait to see you guys hop into this game in 2026. And sure, on one hand, we do know that this team has gone through a lot of problems, and they probably were desperate to kill the rumors, not because they actually are going to, and like, oh man, people have finally figured out our grand scheme and our grand plan, but just because they don't want more controversy surrounding Fable, because they've already had so many issues surrounding the game, so they don't want another problem to stack on top of it. And with Winds of Winter, there are already so many people who have wanted this book to come out, and so many people who are so upset, and people who jump on news that they just want to kill the conversation before it becomes too big to, avoid a like George R.R. Martin level statement on it.
Yeah, and he's probably talking to his publishers like, I'm very anxious. This makes me so depressed. I might not be able to write anymore if people keep saying it's like, I think that everyone needs to give up hope for Winds of Winter until there's actually an announcement from George or an announcement from the publisher. Until that, you're grasping at straws, just like we've been for 15 years. And then Mad Dog says, that was a great impression, Ryan, of Gurm. But when you guys think we'll get the final trailer and release date for Hot D, it's out in a couple months. I've never heard a Ghostwriter theory before. That's Vera's own theory that, well, there have been people that said George Martin has a ghostwriter, but hers is that he fucking died.
Yeah, I genuinely, I believe that maybe George was working with like a ghostwriter kind of close at the beginning and like understood where they were going, and then the ghostwriter just fucking died one day. I don't know, had a heart attack, keeled over, didn't fucking wake up. George has to sort through all this motherfucker's notes. George has to re-lear everything himself. George doesn't know what the fuck it is that fans want. George gave Dumb and Dumber the notes for the show and then realized, oh shit, everybody hates the way that it happened in the show. Or general, maybe like positions of characters like Sansa being Queen of the North, things like that. Maybe not like, I don't know, Daenerys going evil, because that literally makes no sense by any stretch of the means with her fucking book character, but whatever. And then he's just like, shit, I guess it is what it is.
I actually think that is going to happen, or it was planned to happen. There's a big difference though. Like you could 1,000% in 2 books get to a place where Dany burns down King's Landing. The difference is, I think that it would be based on Fagon. I think that's the biggest part missing, right? the idea, like, if Danny's gone through all of this shit and she does go north to help the fight against the White Walker, she does all of these things, like she sacrifices, she hurt some of her dragons. Who fucking knows, right? Some of these things happen, and she's done all of this for fucking Westeros, and she comes back and she gets to King's Landing, and a fake Aegon Targaryen, the Mummer's dragon, is sitting there and is being maybe adulated by the people, and the people want Aegon instead of Daenerys. I could see that making her snap. I genuinely could.
I also agree, and I do also agree that a story can change so much with 1,000 pages or 2,000 pages, regardless. Because now George is making it sound like this thing's going to be a fucking dictionary and it's going to be 2,000 pages. But yeah, a lot can change in that. And I do think that there have been pieces of information and sort of character elements that in situations that she's been in where she has sort of snapped, and it does seem like, oh, here we go, it's the descent into madness. But I don't think that it would just be because, like, her best friend was killed and then her dragon died because they forgot about the fleet, you know, nothing that stupid. And I think it would be a very sort of complex degeneration of her character, or the storyline that they were taking her in. But yeah, I just straight up think that his ghostwriter died and then he had to learn everything himself, and he's just not very good at learning in his progressing years. So
yeah,
we're never getting that shit.
It's never happening. So
no,
even if by some miracle we get wins, we're never getting Dream.
Yeah, but well, that's another problem entirely is, oh, we finally are getting wins, guys. And then everybody just does the same fucking thing, only it's just to insert Dream there. Like, it's just the same cycle.
If we did get wins, it would feed people, right? Because there's so many theories, and not even just theories at this point. There's a lot of theories that are just assumed real, because they've been talked about for so long and because people have analyzed so much. So wins would give us a lot of answers, but it would not finish the story. It would give a lot of clarity, though, I think.
Yeah, I think that, honestly, at least putting out wins would make you understand where he's taken the story. And you can sort of, like, theory craft and come up with your own finale of what the books would be. But you'd have it a little bit more set in stone at that point, which would be good, but it is what it is.
There are certainly things that, like, I'm convinced that the destruction of King's Landing is a thing. I'm convinced that Bran is king. We know that the Hodor scene is from George.
Yeah.
Like, it's far too clever for Dan and Dave to have made that up, period.
Yeah.
So there's certainly elements that are there. But does he keep those things? Who fucking knows?
Yeah, exactly. Thermal scopes. Thank you for the 5. Vera and Ryan, have either of you watched the new Darth Maul show yet? It has Ryan's hero, Sam Witwer, in it. Sam will save Star Wars, Ryan. He's a big fan. Now, I haven't watched it yet. I mean, I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't heard anybody really talking about it, except for Ryan complaining about it, which
I haven't watched
makes
it.
sense. Yeah. But I mean, like, complaining about it before it came out, and like we were talking about the teasers and the trailers and stuff.
Yeah, as if I need another Darth Maul show. As if, like, Darth Maul, the motherfucker who has like 12 hours of screen time in Star Wars.
He's a cool guy, okay?
He's fucking not. He's not some complex character. He's not some deep fucking character that they're trying to make him. He's just not. And this pathetic attempt to jam another Darth Maul story in the period of time while the Empire's on the rise. And guess who the enemy is? It's the Empire, because Darth Maul, he's kind of more in the gray area right now, and he's not totally evil, but he's not really a good guy either. It's like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, I have not watched it yet. I will watch it at some point. I ain't watching this thing week to week. Why the fuck would I watch this thing week to week?
Yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't watch.
And Sam Witwer is a big Star Wars fan.
Mm.
It doesn't mean that I think he needs to be playing Maul every fucking year until the day that he fucking dies. I'm so sick of it.
Yeah. I mean, I
I'm so
agree.
sick of these fucking cartoons. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm going to binge it once it's all finally released and just like sort of get it over with. I don't know. I agree. I don't really have a lot of interest in it, but I will eventually consume the content because I'm a slop enjoyer apparently, because that's all I do with my fucking life now. So, that's the way it goes.
Congratulations to you.
I know. I'm so glad that I get to watch. There are a lot of good games, a lot of good movies and TV shows, but a lot of bad shit as well that you have to sit through, which is annoying. But speaking of a show we are going to watch on release when it finally comes out is Harry Potter. There's been a lot of talk about this. We've memed on Black Snape. We've talked about the trailer being ratioed. Now it's officially been ratioed with this likes 270K likes to 314K dislikes, 36,000 comments. I'm honestly shocked that they left the comments on. I thought that they would have locked them down, but maybe they just figure, you know what, there's so many re-uploads, there's so many different posts, there's so many reactions, like all press is good press in this case.
Well,
But
I don't think it's all press is good press. I think that
I
it is
still
worse.
think that there are companies that think that way though.
I also think it's worse press if you turn it off.
Yeah.
If you disable the comments. Like that is the worst thing. Like, it's one thing if it gets ratioed, and we'll talk about it. If you fucking run and hide and turn the comments off, that's another fucking video. That's more bad press. So
Yeah. Because then it's like, I'm specifically going to make 3 videos calling you guys little bitches. The first one I did initially, the follow up where I'm talking about you shutting things off, and then just another overview to laugh at you. So I do agree with that. But now, people are talking about a statement that Ralph Fiennes made now months
it's
ago.
pronounced Rafe.
Ray Fiennes.
He's Welsh or some shit.
Oh, yeah. It's
Bro,
fine.
did you make a video about this and call him Ralph?
I have not made a video on this.
Okay, good.
I have
Glad we
not, no.
talked about this before you did. You would have got roasted. You would have turned your comments
Yeah,
off.
no. I think I've talked about him fucking twice, okay?
Rafe, yeah.
But there was a rumor circulating months ago that we were going to get a female Voldemort, and that this is what we were going to see. There were rumors and memes about like a Cynthia Erivo taking this type of role. Tilda Swinton, I do think that there are more people that have like responded, I suppose, positively to this fan theory. I personally don't think that she's a very good actress. But people have been talking about him potentially reprising his role, and he decided to make a statement on not any sort of confirmation that she has actually been cast, but he thinks that the ship has sailed for him to reprise his role in the series, but that he'd be more than happy to pass the wand to another acclaimed British actor. And he said, I'll tell you, Tilda was mentioned somewhere as being a contender, and I think that she would be amazing.
So just because Tilda Swinton is an ugly looking woman and a weird looking woman doesn't mean that she should play the biggest fucking villain in the Harry Potter series, who is notably a man whose name is fairly important. This isn't something where you can just be, Tom Riddle, we'll just make it, what's a female name that starts Tori? We'll make it Tori Riddle. Okay. That's not something you can do because it happens to be very closely linked to his fucking name. I am Lord Voldemort. I'm not going to lie, Vera. When I was a kid and I read Chamber of Secrets, that was like fucking mind blowing to me. Right? That it was like,
Yeah.
what is it called? An ambigram? Is that what it is
Yeah.
when things are mixed up like that? It was mind blowing to me.
That is
Now
pretty
again,
like a great detail that you finally like figure out. Like that is really great.
yeah. Now, obviously, if you read that as if you're like 25 and you read Harry Potter for the first time, you probably can see some of the writing on the wall a little bit earlier. But for a child reading that, I was blown away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so this is not some simple thing where you can just gender swap it. So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna cast Tilda Swinton and she's gonna just be a man? I know I understand Tilda Swinton has played male roles in a handful of I don't fucking care. It's a bitch. I think Tilda Swinton's a fine actor in some things, you know, but she should play women.
Right.
That's what she is. And look, some people are taking this as if that, and the reason that they're taking it that way, they're taking it as if this is a confirmation of Tilda Swinton being cast.
And
Um,
it's not.
It's not. It is not that. It's just Ray Fiennes talking about it and him being like, I heard there was a rumor about this, and I think she'd be fabulous or amazing or whatever. Um, but the original tweet from IGN, I think, is the one that really blew up. That was like, Ray Fiennes says that Tilda Swinton will be fantastic as Lord Voldemort. And a lot of people took that to mean this is a confirmed casting.
Yeah, this
The-
one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because the
And
way that they word it is like that he's given his blessing as if it's right. It's already happened, and he's just commenting on it, like, "Oh, I'm hearing about this for the first time, but this is great." And then other people see this headline and think, "Oh, wow, did I miss some sort of big casting news?" Like, this is a pretty insane casting. This is a very important casting in the grand scheme of things, and so you have to be very careful about who you're casting, but
uh,
also about like leaks like that getting out there.
yeah, and I think that the problem is because of Black Snape, this wouldn't shock anybody. Because you had such a terrible casting of Black fucking Snape, Thug Life Snape, Snape Dog, because you have this shit,
Right.
like because you have that, it makes this believable that they could do something like this.
Yeah.
I don't think they will, and I don't think it is, but it's certainly possible that it could be at some point. But this is not some confirmation of that. But it just shows you the amount of vitriol surrounding this show and how many red flags have popped up that will make people believe that this is true.
Well, right. And it's so disappointing that they've already gone off the rails. Now, I think that there's worse damage that they could have done based on the information that we have so far, based on the trailers we've seen, some of the casting that we've seen. But are any of these major changes, again, like Snape being race swapped, is that acceptable at all? No, because it does change the dynamic with the character. And if they did gender swap Voldemort or do this like androgynous character of like you don't know what they're supposed to be, that would change the character so fucking much. But it is also something that Hollywood would do. It is something that HBO would probably fucking do, and I wouldn't put it past them. That's the issue. Also, really quickly, Nolan, thank you for the 49.99. Much appreciated. All you said is woot. Very
Woot.
grateful. Well, at least I get to try my new alcohol tonight.
What is it? Your caramel something?
It's salted caramel because I'm a
Old
basic
Smoky. All right, all right.
yeah, I'm a basic white bitch. And I like
Yeah, that is a female
caramel,
drink.
peanut butter. Hell yeah. So it's fine with me.
That is a female drink.
Yeah.
Mine is, well, it's a man's drink, but it is Canadian, so kind of a beta male's drink, I guess. but
Yeah.
no flavor in my Crown Royal.
Yeah. See, I need the flavor because, again, I'm a woman. And so, like, meh, do I really just want to drink straight up, like, alcohol without it tasting special?
You don't
I
like
don't.
whiskey?
I do.
All right.
But, like, if I'm going to get something like for a special stream or, like, for this, which the only time I drink it, like, I'm not just going to be
Me
like,
too.
I'm just going to buy vodka, you
The
know?
only time I drink is on stream. What? You don't believe me?
Sure, buddy. Whatever you fucking say. That's pretty good. Whew.
Like that. What is it called? Like Tennessee Old Smoky or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah,
They have a lot of like different flavors. I've been to one
they
of their.
do.
I've been to one of their like actual locations.
Yeah.
In Nashville or some shit. I don't know where, but yeah, they got a lot of good flavors. So
Yeah, but thank you for the 50. That is actually really good. I'm not gonna drink that off stream though, because I'm just not gonna fucking do that. Then I'd be replacing the bottles all the time if I was an alcoholic like Ryan, you know. And also, Daniel, thank you for the 5. Heard Crown Royal got outsourced for profit margins. I don't know anything about that.
So there was, I believe like the U.S. distribution or something got moved to the U.S. Like they did something like that. I believe it's still made in Canada, but I do think that it's bottled for U.S. I think it's bottled here. But I still think it's Canadian whiskey. Where is Crown Royal made? Let me look. Yeah, Crown Royal is produced and distilled in Gimli, Manitoba, Canada.
It's a pretty good location name, I gotta be honest.
Gimli.
That's pretty good.
Some bottling operations have shifted. The distilling and aging process remains firmly in Manitoba. So I do remember that was like a big thing, but it's still being made in Canada.
Yeah.
But it is, I think for the United States, it is specifically bottled in the US because it was probably cheaper that way. Like they ship the fucking shit down there and bottle it here.
Yeah, makes sense.
Gimli.
Also, Jason, thank you for the 2 drinking games. Shot every time Ass says an F-bomb on F&T. You'd just be dead. See, that's the things like the 199, the F-bombs. You just be fucking dead.
Yeah, you guys just want us dead.
Yeah, like...
You clearly don't want this show to continue.
Yeah, guess not. And SCDB, thank you for the 5. Streamed over Gary and Jeremy twice. Fuck my life. Kato
I know, they can't leave us alone.
No, they
can't.
What
the fuck, dude?
You know what would really make this show 1,000 times worse? 8 a.m. on a Monday. That would truly put me over the fucking edge. I mean, I'll cancel this shit.
You probably wouldn't even be awake, but I would be awake.
The crack of fucking dawn, starting your Monday off with this shit. That just
tells me that you're never awake when the sun comes up. The idea that you think 8 o'clock is the
well, no, just like okay, the crack of dawn, early in the morning. How about that?
The crack of dawn,
like,
8 a.m. Jesus Christ!
It's just a saying, but like having to start the fucking day off with it, it's already bad enough when it's the end of the day. So, yeah. But Kato was complaining about some boss in Crimson Desert. Make fun of him for not being a real gamer. I haven't gotten to the end of Crimson Desert yet, so I don't know what boss it is. So I don't have any commentary to give. But I don't know. I haven't had many problems in Crimson Desert. I guess I am just very good at games.
You're just fucking an incredible gamer. Over on Rumble, Mad Dog, all the fanfics are gay and rapey because the weirdos who have to write that stuff are losers and don't work, or have cupcake jobs and nothing better to do, or fat women who just want to do something. Fair enough. And then says, not talk shit. I don't know full history. I think the Ghost Rider thing is dumb because Gurm wasn't successful enough when the first book came out, or even A Storm of Swords. He was a middling TV and book writer, not huge to Game of Thrones. That is a good point. I
Yeah.
think that kind of pokes a hole in your theory, Vera.
Yeah, I guess so, but you know what? It's fine because my theory, it's the one I'm sticking with.
And that's just it, huh?
Yeah, that's literally just fucking it.
Okay. Jose says, is Ryan running out space on his forehead for business promo? Shoot me an offer.
Hey, I've said it before. You get a fucking expo marker, and then for like, I don't know, place a price, $100 to write something on your forehead. You would make so much fucking money.
I think that it would be more. I think I would need more than $100.
Okay.
But I'm willing to negotiate. Like, give me an offer I can't refuse, you know?
Well, what it's written with also matters because you want a Sharpie.
And also what it is, right?
Right. If you're having me write the most offensive slur in the history of man fucking kind with a Sharpie that's not going to go away, you're paying thousands.
Yeah, like if I'm advertising Jack Daniels, say Jack Daniels sponsors me, I would do that. I'd be willing to fucking write Jack Daniels on my forehead. If you're coming to me from,
you're just like, give me a refund for the past 2 months. That right there will make up thousands of fucking dollars.
If you're coming to me with some kind of like you run a sex shop and you want to advertise your butt plugs or something, that price is going to be really, really high. Like it's just going to depend on the product. So the level of embarrassment.
Right. But see, the thing is that ultimately in this conversation, you didn't instantly say no. So that means that there is a chance that you would do it, that you'd write something real fucking offensive on your forehead. Yeah.
For money?
Yeah. Why not?
A lot of things for money.
I think a lot of people would, to be fair. I don't think you're unique in that stance. I'd write retard on my head. I'd write a lot of shit on my forehead, but it has to be like one word. For you could write a paragraph. I mean, I have a big forehead, but my forehead is not as bad as yours.
That was well delivered. I did not see that one coming. So
yeah, no problem. All right, so let's talk about shit ass Disney now. Ryan, give us the TLDR.
Oh, Mandalorian and Grogu, huh?
Yes.
I mean, look, Mandalorian and Grogu, the first Star Wars movie in 7 years in the theaters, is set to hit theaters in May. And look, we have seen it hasn't exactly been the greatest marketing scheme so far. They spent $10 million to put an ad during the Super Bowl that got fucking ratioed and mocked and rejected to the point where less than 24 hours later, they had to come out and do damage control for the ad they ran in the fucking Super Bowl. The most expensive ad of the year. They had to do damage control for it because it was that bad. And quite frankly, the idea of coming out with a movie featuring your fucking low tier fucking Disney Plus series that, to be quite frank, because people were so tricked by it in the beginning, if this had come out in 2021 or something, maybe you could make an argument that it would have been like hyped for people to see it. But now we've seen Book of Boba Fett. We've seen Mandalorian season 3. The ratings dropped off a cliff. The ratings or the audience reception fell off a cliff. No one gives a fuck about Mandalorian and Grogu anymore, but you're coming out with it in theaters. And about 6 weeks out is typically when we get the first official box office projections from the industry experts. And they based off a wide variety of things, former performance of that brand, how much people are talking about something, the level of interest from different polls, all this shit. So it's just projections, and projections go up, they can go down. We saw Project Hail Mary was projected to only open to like $30 million when it first came out, when it first hit tracking. Great word of mouth and excitement accelerated that. But Mandalorian and Grogu, at least the first numbers we have, are not great. Right now, it's projected to open between $71 and $85 million. And if it opens in that range, it would be less than Solo, a Star Wars story, which notably the lowest grossing Star Wars movie in history. And it made around $390 million worldwide. And if this follows that trajectory, let alone opens worse, my God, the level of embarrassment for Disney Star Wars. It would be fucking glorious to witness. I would love this movie to just flop and fail.
Yeah, I mean, that would honestly be so good because this show, and we've talked about it before. I thought that it started off pretty well. I thought that it actually had something going for it. Was it like extremely high levels of quality storytelling? No, not by any stretch of the means, but with every season that's gone on, it has tanked in quality level, and they're always jangling those nostalgia keys at you going, "Oh my gosh, guys, look at this. This is what you want, isn't it? Oh, we put Luke in this show. Aren't you so excited for it? Oh, it's not Yoda, it's Baby Yoda." And it's just gotten worse and worse as time has gone on. And so I mean, I personally don't think that there's anything left saving with Disney Star Wars. The Star Wars that I care about was what came out 20, 25, 30 plus years ago. There have been some good, like, modern video games. I liked Jedi Fallen Order, wasn't the biggest fan of Survivor, but even that, I would be fine with punting that into the fire that would be the burning of Disney Star Wars. And so seeing any of this fail at this point will be funny. And that sucks to say because I wish that we hadn't reached that point. I wish that there was something redeemable here, but really there isn't. And I genuinely hope that Disney is spending like as much as they can on this and that they'll lose it all. I want them to spend and spend and spend and spend and make nothing off of anything they're creating.
So here's the thing that Mandalorian Grogu does have going for it. It's
A
probably going to be
lower
relatively
budget.
it's going to be relatively cheap in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
As compared to, Rise of Skywalker, which is $400 million, Force Awakens, $400 million. This is more likely in the 170 to like $190 million range. And part of that is probably because they filmed in the volume and stuff like that. So that is one of the few things it has going for it. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a lot of other things going for it.
Right.
And you talked about when it first came out. Look, I thought Mandalorian season 1 was a very mediocre show.
Yeah, I didn't think it was
had a-
like I personally didn't think that it was terrible, but at the same time, like I didn't think it was I don't want to say noteworthy, but like amazing high quality storytelling.
and that's why I'm saying mediocre.
Yeah.
I think the mediocre is fair. I
Yeah.
did think it had a lot of story problems, and I think it had elements of what could have been an interesting story. And I don't think it's particularly well executed, but I'll call it mediocre. But definitely there was some excitement around it. Now, why? It was the first Star Wars streaming project. It was the first streaming project, period, on Disney Plus, basically. They launched the fucking streaming platform with it. All of these reasons, like COVID, got a lot of attention for a wide variety of reasons. Season 2 sucked. Season 2 is basically the Super Mario Galaxy season of The Mandalorian, in which they had no story whatsoever, no meaningful story, and it was just cameo, this thing, then this thing, then this thing, then this thing, then this thing. Mandalorian, in the span of a fucking week and a half, met basically half of the relevant characters that are currently existing at that stage in the Star Wars universe, whether it's Bo-Katan or Ahsoka or Luke Skywalker or fucking Boba Fett. Like, he just runs into all these fucking people, and it was a crazy 10 days for the Mandalorian. And I thought season 2 sucked. However, it got a ton of hype because a lot of people were blinded by the jangling keys. Season 3, I think it was the same level of writing as season 2. The difference is you ran out of those cameos, and instead of Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka and name-dropping Grand Admiral Thrawn and all this other shit, instead, it was Jack Black and fucking Lizzo in cosplay. Right?
Yeah, it's very bad.
So,
there was no redeeming factor of season 3 because even if in season 2 you didn't like a lot of the content, at least you had the nostalgia there and you had these returning characters, which was kind of cool, I suppose, but there was none of that in season 3.
Yeah,
and that's such a big problem for that it had.
if they had stuck true to what I believe the pitch to the audience was for this series, I think that Mandalorian could still be a very successful streaming show. And because that pitch isn't the show we got, the pitch to the audience was this was going to be a show about a fucking bounty hunter,
Right.
right? And instead, it very quickly became a story about a babysitter who happens to do a
Yeah.
couple bounty things on the side. And yes, they kept it hidden and it was a big surprise to a lot of people and all of that. But if they had taken their time with season one and instead of him getting all his armor in season two after accomplishing one fucking mission and the rest of it becoming, get back and save Grogu and all these things, if they had just done a bounty of the week story so he can continue to assemble his armor and he's like discovering a little bit more about his heritage and his history and all of these things with those flashbacks they had with the armorer, then maybe by the end you kind of drop a bomb and you do something unique to like give people a little cliffhanger for season two. But if they had stayed true to that and kept him an actual kind of maybe morally questionable bounty hunter, I think the show would be in much better shape than what they did. Now they always planned to do this, but the show they pitched everybody is not the show that they gave us.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is very sad that like in the realm of Star Wars and you have cool characters that are bounty hunters, he just ended up being a babysitter. And I don't dislike, Grogu. I don't hate the concept of there
You
being
should.
a baby Yoda-esque character being part of the beginning of the story, or like maybe season one, and then he just goes off and does his own shit and like actually goes back to the bounty hunting. But I think they were so blinded by the level of soccer mom hype and kid and woman hype that was behind Baby Yoda that they were like, oh, we can't actually scrap this character now. So Baby Yoda was going to be the season one secondary character. And then in season two, there was going to be another. Season three, there was going to be another. But yeah, they did have to scrap that because well, they didn't have to, but they decided to because they saw a lot of marketability with this stupid little green fuck. Which I blame women for. I do. Women, primarily the soccer moms and then kids, they love that stupid little fuck. I don't own any merchandise of him. I'd kick him to the fucking curb.
I fucking hate this little
I would
green
love to see
monster.
somebody place him down on a fucking field and punt him across the field.
I just want to see him executed, just shot in the fucking head. If that's how this
Yeah.
Mandalorian Grogu movie ends, I'll fucking support
A
it.
Sith Lord drops him off the face of a fucking cliff.
I just want to see his fucking head explode. He's so useless.
Yeah.
And what one of the major problems you have with this Mandalorian franchise at this point is it's built around a character who doesn't talk in Pedro Pascal's Din Djarin. He's very stoic. He's a man of few words.
You got
He
two
delivers
motherfuckers who
everything.
don't talk.
He delivers everything monotone, so he does not speak very much. And then the person he's partnered with can't talk.
Right.
So it takes a very, very fucking skilled filmmaker to be able to tell visual stories in which it evokes emotion and interest, and you're very interested in where these characters are going when they can't speak. It can be
I mean,
done, and it has been done in the past.
Characters like R2, we had more fucking personality than Baby Yoda does. And he
But
doesn't.
do you know
But like,
why? It's because of C3PO,
well,
right?
right.
The reason R2D2 is compelling so
Right.
often is because C3PO is the other part of that conversation, and that motherfucker never shuts up, right?
It's true.
And even though you're not hearing what R2 is saying, you hear a little inflection of what he might be saying and what that might
Right.
mean, and you hear C3PO's response. That's why 3PO and R2 work so well. But that's not the case for this.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. And so I I mean, hey, listen, Disney obviously has very high expectations for everything that they put out. They are in the, well, I want to say they're in the business of making money, but generally they're not
They're
these
supposed to
fucking
be.
days. Right, they're supposed to be. They generally aren't now. But I don't see this going over very well for them. But we've said this for a long time now, and you and I have talked about it multiple times. I figured that it was going to open pretty low. Now, if I thought it was going to open below Solo, that was kind of another question because that is almost hard to do. But hey, when you've pushed away existing fans for well over a decade, you have tried to force characters down people's throats that a lot of people aren't interested in. You tried to make normie slop. This is just what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, look, if this thing makes less than Solo, it it is
It's going to be
nightmare fuel.
hilarious.
Look,
Yeah.
my projection has always been somewhere between 4 and 500 million. Now this type of opening, it says 71 million. It's really 71 to 85 is the projection.
Right. That's just the
Solo,
low end.
so Solo opened to 84,900,000. So basically 85. So right now it's projected to open slightly less than Solo. It could have a better hold. Who fucking knows? I'm going to stick with my projection of somewhere between 4 and 500 million. Even if it makes like 450 million, it's a fucking disaster for them. The first Disney Star Wars movie back in theaters in 7 years, it would be a nightmare.
Yeah, definitely. I know you can't wait to watch it. You're so hyped for it. You love Baby Yoda. You are gonna buy dolls of Baby Yoda, popcorn bucket. I know you're so excited, Ryan.
Maybe I should buy one just to sell it to some fucking Disney retard on eBay.
I mean, the problem with that argument is that would mean that they'd have to actually sell out in locations and on their web pages. And do you actually think that's going to happen? I mean, there are some Disney fans out there still. There are people who like it, but I can't imagine it. But I suppose there is that possibility. But we've got a good topic that is only going to be 2 seconds long that I think is fucking hilarious.
Well, Mad Dog on Rumble says you've talked about Tom is male, Ryan, but his name is Lord, which is masculine. So if there's a gender swap, it would need to be lady to please the UK history. It's not happening, is my take. I don't think it's happening. But
yeah, I don't think it's happening either. But I also don't put anything past anybody in Hollywood and entertainment or even in the video game space. I think that these people are, of course, cultural Marxists. I think that they will try to destroy at any opportunity possible. And a lot of these people hate J.K. Rowling and would love to see her work destroyed. And so if they can get more people pushed away from Harry Potter, I think that they would do that.
The problem is with that, I 100% think they're going to put a trans person in this show at some point.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be a character like a Snape or a Harry or a Voldemort. I don't think it's going to be a massive character.
It could be a relatively maybe it'd be Lavender Brown or something. But I don't think it'd be Voldemort specifically because it would be very ironic if they made Voldemort a trans person, like a huge mass murderer, psychopath, evil person.
And that's the
issue.
But
they won't do that, right? Because they won't make that character trans.
Right, because they don't want to portray trans people as being evil.
Right.
And sure, the misunderstood angle, I could see that, but I can't see the rest.
Yeah.
So I agree.
That's why I don't think they'll make Voldemort a female either. In the same way that if Snape, and this is why I don't think they're going to portray Snape as bad as he probably should be portrayed, like they wouldn't race swap that character if they were going to show all the nasty things he really did.
I do wonder how many of the child characters and like the younger characters are going to be gender confused. And they're going to have like some retarded dialogue lines about needing to grow into themselves and needing to discover who they really are. I have a feeling that's going to be pretty prominent.
Well, I think maybe like, discover who you are as a wizard or something. I don't know if there's going to be too many conversations like that about them deciding what gender they are, but who knows at this point?
Yeah, I don't know.
Omega Hedron says, "You're a woman, Harry."
That's the twist, guys. Why the hell would you spoil it? Too fucking good. But this had popped up on my X, and I've never heard of this insider. I did see Dom the Bomb, who is a YouTuber with 500,000 subscribers.
That dude is a Naughty Dog shill, bro. My God, that dude he's a Neil Druckmann cum guzzling fuck.
He is. But he says that this insider, Alir, is somebody who has been right on a lot of Naughty Dog leaks and rumors. So, of course, take it with a fucking grain of salt. But the rumor simply is that Naughty Dog's next game is going to be The Last of Us Part 3, and that for the third game, because yeah, there is a third one, we all know what it is, now we'll just have to see if he manages to finish it. Because there is talk about, and I'm certain you've seen it, that Neil Druckmann wants to leave Naughty Dog. That he wants to be done with Naughty Dog because he doesn't want to be part of the video game space for much longer. He wants to do an intergalactic, he wants to do a Last of Us 3, and then he wants to go to Hollywood because apparently he's made a lot of connections because of the show, and that's just what he wants to pivot to.
There's no way this is ever happening.
Last of Us 3?
Yeah, like Last of Us 3 is not happening.
I think it's extremely hard to believe at this point because, yes, The Last of Us Part 2 did make money. I mean, it's not like it had 4 people who bought the game and then, that's it. That didn't happen. But going into a third one, you would see a significant drop in purchase numbers because people feel so disappointed with what the show has done, which has been following the game because the sequel was so bad.
Look, the reason The Last of Us Part 2 sold 4 million copies on release day is because people were tricked by fake advertising, by false marketing, by lies into believing it would be a Joel and Ellie game. There's a reason there was deceptive marketing. There's a reason there were altered trailers to convince you that older Ellie and older Joel were going on this adventure. It's because they knew people wouldn't buy it if they knew it was an Abby Ellie game. Now that it's all been out, and again, Last of Us Part 1 sold somewhere in the range of 17 to 18 million copies. Last of Us Part 2 sold about 10 million. So it was a pretty big drop off. Now that we've seen that story rejected by the gamers who played it, and there was a lot of goodwill going, again, 4 million copies sold in that first weekend for Last of Us Part 2 because it was so highly anticipated because of how much people liked the first one. Did not get good reception. The show now is sitting there, and the first season was liked by a lot of people. The second season got completely and totally rejected. There's no chance. Like, they have already canceled a Last of Us fucking game. They canceled the Last of Us multiplayer game that was supposed to come out. They canceled that shit after Last of Us Part 2. The idea that it's their third game in development. Okay, how long is it going to be till we see Intergalactic? And what's the second one in development? Do you know?
No, I'm not sure what the second one is going to be.
This is the third one. So we're talking about we wouldn't see this for fucking 12 years? No fucking way.
So my only thing, right, is I agree that I think a third game would sell much worse because, like you mentioned, the second one only sold for very specific reasons and people remember what happened and the way Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann treated us. But the issue is that between the original releases, all of the remakes and remasters and relaunches they've done, between 2 games, they have sold over 37 million copies of those 2 games. And even again, technically, one game has 3 re-releases, so it's 4 different games, whatever. The franchise as a whole is 37 million. So this is my issue, is I believe that they want to make a Last of Us 3 because they see how insane that number is. There are not a lot of games that will sell that many copies in a short amount of time based on 2 titles. So like
Yeah.
that is a issue with this conversation is like, yeah, I think the sales would be lower, but I also think that they'd be willing to take another fucking crack at it. I think that they believe that they can win people back, and I don't think that it would be that easy. I don't think that it would really happen as flawlessly as they would expect, but 37 million is it's a lot.
For some reason, you started playing again. I don't know why. In my fucking ear over on the Rumble side, and
I
so there
started
was
playing again.
2 of you talking, and it was like very
Is
distracting.
it still happening?
But I shut it down.
I was
It's
gonna
my, it was
fucking
my
scream into
fault.
the micro. I was gonna yell into the microphone, but
No, it
yeah,
was my
shit.
fault.
Too late.
I do hear what you're saying, and yes, they sold a fuck ton of copies.
Yeah,
They also
they
tanked
did.
their reputation, and
They did.
I don't see it, especially because we still have to see Last of Us season 3, which is gonna be like the ratings dropped off hard for season
Right,
2.
it's gonna
There was a
be
question as to whether like we're gonna get 4 seasons. Now they're not. They're gonna get 3. I view it as a dead franchise.
well,
And
right. And the show, if they do what we expect, which is the Abby and Ellie show, I mean, it's just going to continue to damage the reputation. I generally say show and movie adaptations need to follow the games as closely as possible. I think they would have been super fucking smart to not and just keep Joel alive as long as possible because that's the character people like. And so yeah, it's not accurate to the source material, but everybody fucking hates the source material. So why not just change it at that point?
I'm gonna be a dad.
Oh, what a good moment. There were some good memes out of it at least. And I'm excited to see the Victorian child give us some more cringeworthy memes.
By the Victorian child, you just mean somebody who looks inbred?
Yeah. Yeah. She's
Why is it
very
that Targaryens
special.
why is it that Targaryens inbreed, but they look hot and shit, but
Because the
fuck
dragons.
yeah, the blood
It's
of the
just the
dragon, they're like
magic,
aliens
yeah.
or whatever, they're magic. But when
They're no
people in the north
Habsburgs, yeah.
when the people in the north do a little inbreeding over on Bear Island, they look like fucking Ellie. They look like a potato.
They
Why
really
is
do.
that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's basically just the magic, and that's just the best answer that anybody could possibly give. But yeah, I don't think that we're gonna see a Last of Us Part 3 anytime soon. If it does happen, I do think that it is gonna go through some major problems with sales, but I also think that if Sony is willing to put $500 million into a fucking Concorde and they shut that shit down after 2 weeks, I also think that it's likely that they'd be willing to put a couple $100 million into a Last of Us 3. I don't remember how much Last of Us 2's budget was. But I remember that it was pretty big and yeah, 220 million for 200 full-time employees. So it's a lot of people. I don't know what the studios at now for employees, but they do have apparently 2 other games in the works. So makes sense that it would be probably a couple hundred more. It's just it's so fucking insane that yet again we see a good game ruined because a couple of bitches. We're like, yeah, we want ugly fucking Abby to Joel and want our favorite character.
Again, we're also going to have to like think about what the reception is to Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet as
Which
well.
so far hasn't been positive. So that is another major freaking hurdle.
What's the 3rd game in development? Fuck off.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog's not a big studio either. So
No, it's not. They have been around for a long time though, and again, it's like we were talking about with Bungie. I think that Sony's willing to give them a little bit more wiggle room when it comes to what they can and can't create. So, I don't know. But I do agree, Net Stealer, women ruin fucking everything. Yeah. Yep.
In the video game industry, that's certainly true.
Yeah, I agree. There's been like there have been some good women in the video game industry, but look at how many bad ones there have been. It's a few too many.
I mean, the person who used to be at Naughty Dog was a good one.
Yeah, I don't even know what she's working on right now.
Everything she's doing seems to fall apart,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I know that there's 2 projects that she's been a part of that have like ceased development, but that was last time I heard anything having to do with Amy was like 3 years ago now. So I hope she
She was supposed to do
obviously
that Star Wars game, right?
I think she was affiliated with Eclipse.
Yeah, that's
Is that
fucking
the
dead
one you're
in the
talking
water.
about?
I think so.
Amy Henning. Next game. Hold on, I'm doing some journalism. Oh, she was doing Marvel's Rise of Hydra. That's the
Ah,
next game, but that was delayed into 2026, and that was at the beginning of 2025, and we've heard fucking nothing about that. So, I mean, I guess we'll see, but she is working on 1943 Rise of Hydra. It's the way the cookie crumbles. But all right, let's talk about women. I know we've unfortunately had to talk a lot about women ruining everything, women being dumb, and women being idiotic. Yeah. Another day that ends with a Y. But I saw this
but
on
black
my
women making
ex.
problems? What?
Yeah, who could have fucking thunk it? I thought that this shit was so hilarious. So Issa Rae says you need to be smarter about pitching shows with a diverse cast now that DEI has become a bad word and Hollywood is in an identity crisis. Hollywood has had a lot of problems for a long fucking time. All right. It's not, it is worse, but it's not any different than it has been for a decade now, a decade plus at this point. So she is basically saying you just need to hide more details when you're pitching a show in Hollywood, which also still isn't true because there are still plenty of shows that focus on diversity first and foremost that get greenlit. Now, a lot of them get canceled. Look at what happened with Star Trek, Starfleet Academy. That, of course, was diverse, it was inclusive, completely fucking failed. I don't know if you had ever been a big Malcolm in the Middle fan,
I
but
always thought it was gay. I
they
never liked it.
recently came out with the reboot and now they have a fucking non-binary sibling. Like
Like,
that shit
where did
is
that come from?
trash. It came from that at the end of the show, they were going to have another sibling and the gender was never confirmed. And I guess they decided, hey, we're going to put in like a non-binary character and
So
it's
I saw
clearly a
that clip.
girl that
I
is
saw
like,
that
ooh, confused.
I saw that clip floating around on Twitter, and I didn't really have any context for it because I didn't know that there was going to be another kid. So I didn't know if they changed one of those kids to be non-binary.
No.
I didn't know, but I never liked Malcolm in the Middle. I always thought it was stupid and unfunny and kind of gay, so I just never got into it.
Shit. See, I liked Malcolm in the Middle. I
I
did. I thought it was fucking funny, but it also it was funny for what it was, but I don't care about them being like 50-year-olds now
yeah, I
and
mean,
like doing
I
the
was like
same stuff.
I was the right age for it. I mean, I was like 12 when it came out. Like came out in like 2000 or something. So I was like 12 years old. I should have been like one of the target audiences for it, but I just never got into it.
Yeah, but I haven't watched the reboot yet. I really don't want to just because I know that it's going to be bad based on the clips that I've seen. But yeah, I mean they're trying. Regardless though, that's what we've been seeing Hollywood greenlight and the types of characters that they're trying to push into this into this type of content. And so sitting here saying you need to be smarter, first of all, just means, oh, really, you need to hide it better. But second of all, and I can't speak for everyone, but I know for me personally, I've always said diversity is fine when it's done naturally. Look at KOTOR. I love KOTOR. Super fucking diverse cast of characters. Star Wars has a super diverse world. The thing is that every character doesn't just identify based on their gender and their sexuality and the color of their fucking skin. And we see so many shows now done by Hollywood, and we also see it happening with video games where That is all a character has going for them, is how many victim points they can rack up.
God, there's an irony to it, because it's true that DEI has become a bad word. It has negative
Yeah, didn't
connotations
earn
surrounding
it.
it. It has negative connotations around it because of Hollywood. It's not
Right.
because people did this. No, you guys came out with all this shit. This has been your fucking marching orders, your war cry about DEI, about fucking diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how important it is. And as a result of that, it's led to dog shit coming out from the entertainment industry. Is it just because of DEI? I think there's more factors than just that, but there's no doubt that that's one of them. And it's one that people can very easily associate it with because of how you guys fucking talk about it.
Well, right. And they're the ones that are creating the problems that they're now facing. Because if it was always just, hey, we're going to try to write these inclusive stories and they're actually high quality and good and neat and interesting, people will show up to watch them and they wouldn't be in the situation. But they are the ones who have caused this fucking issue for themselves. She says that I started Awkward Black Girl because there was a dearth of representation in the industry, and it felt like this was my opportunity to put an archetype into the space that didn't exist at the time. And now, even after so much progress, we're kind of back to limited representation and having to stake claim of our stories. We're back to where we started in a way, but wiser. And she thinks this is a symptom of the industry tiptoeing around elevating diverse storytellers in light of recent clampdowns on DEI policies. I'm seeing it just blatantly. People aren't investing like they were before. DEI has changed meanings and has become a bad word. Maybe you are facing a problem where these companies are not investing in the color of your skin, but they're trying to invest in you based on your merits, and you just don't have anything fucking going for you. It's only your fault. You only have yourself to fucking blame. Maybe if you actually were a competent storyteller and you had a single creative bone in your body, you wouldn't be facing this problem.
Yeah, but instead you have to repackage it. You have to repurpose it. You have to now come up with a different name for the same bullshit.
Right.
And people will see right through. I think people are too keyed in on this stuff now, you know. I think it's kind of impossible, even if they do try to rebrand.
Oh, yeah. People can pick up on it very easily, especially when it's like, let's say for argument's sake, a show is being made by someone like her. You know the type of person that she is and the types of stories that she tries to tell. So, of course, people are going to call you out. And she also goes on to say that you have to be
This is
smarter
funny.
about how you package and market projects. You tell them it's not a show about a black woman, it's a show about class. As icky as it might feel, it gets the show sold. Motherfucker, your show is literally fucking called Awkward Black Girl. Why is it that you think that I'm going to view it and be like, maybe this isn't a show about an awkward black girl? You are literally calling a fucking spade in your title, sister.
And well, be careful with calling a spade there in this context. But I think that what she's describing is not necessarily about the audience. What she's describing is about getting your show sold in Hollywood right now.
Yeah.
Because
nobody's
Hollywood,
buying up these projects the way that they were because people are losing money on them. And you see things like Starfleet Academy, which has this big franchise name on it, and then it doesn't make fun. So why would they greenlight a show that's similar when this first one didn't make the money? And they have been doing that for a long time, but I do think that, yes, they are kind of, I don't want to say waking up, right? But maybe they're only greenlighting 5 of these instead of 7 of these, or instead of 10 of these now.
Yes. And again, we have to remember that the things that are coming out right now were put in the pipeline 2 to 3 years ago for the most part, whether it's when it was greenlit to when they start doing pre-production to all of this shit, right? I still don't know if she's right. And it's like, it would be impossible for me to get this done because it's about black women and they don't want, I think that's a little bit of projection there, and like complete hyperbole. But it is probably more difficult to do it now if that is the pitch of your show. You can't just walk in and say, hey, it's about a fucking black lesbian, and you immediately get $100 million. It's probably different now.
Right. That's just not happening. at this point in time. But is anybody really surprised at that? Like, I don't think that it should be shocking that companies are either partially sick of losing money, they're partially sick of I don't know if I want to say like facing backlash, because so many of them do seem to just barrel forward with these things. But like, how many times can you also continue to repeat the same stories over and over and continue to just be making the same shows and movies over and over before people stop showing up? Their stories are all the same one note, single tone, and that's stupid.
Yeah. I are we gonna review Awkward Black Girl?
I mean, if you want to.
No, fuck no.
Well, why would you ask?
I was just hoping I didn't have to do it.
Yes, you do have to do it. When does it come out?
I'm not.
Is it out?
I don't fucking know. You show
I don't
me
know.
the story.
You're the one who literally fucking asked if we were gonna review it.
I don't want to watch it.
Wasn't it? It was a YouTube series originally.
Apparently.
Awkward Black Girl release date. The misadventures of. I don't want the original YouTube channel. But no, we are not going to review it, because why would you even ask me a question like that?
I just
Ryan,
seeing what you were thinking.
Ryan, by the end of April, you have to play at least 5 minutes of Reloaded. That's your number one priority right now. All right?
I said that I'll do it before I go to Japan.
That's true, but time's a ticking. So I have to keep reminding you. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. But yeah, you need to be smarter about pitching your slop to companies now. It's not being picked up. I also don't fully believe that. I still think that they're picking up these shows maybe a little bit slower than they previously were, but I don't think that it's a complete 180 from their mentality that they were pushing. But of course, her existence in Hollywood is based on color of her skin, her gender, sexuality. So she's going to want to, get as many victim points as possible, which isn't shocking.
Right.
But yeah, hey Zeus, thank you for the 9/11. Much appreciated. Thank you. Very grateful. So it's almost that time, guys.
Real quick, Mad Dog,
Oh, yeah.
Vera, did you play Horizon Zero Dawn and the sequel?
did.
Heard shit about the girl protagonist, but I don't care. Love those games. I don't care about stories unless it's a true RPG, not a locked RPG.
Yeah, I liked the first game. I did not really connect with the second one, but I
like
feel the same way
game
about
a lot.
I feel the same way about The Last of Us. I really liked The Last of Us 1. Didn't connect with Last of Us 2. Last of Us felt a little bit stronger about. I hated The Last of Us 2 because of what they did. Horizon Forbidden West, just wasn't a big fan of it. I thought that it was a really overhyped mid game, but the first one, Horizon Zero Dawn, I did like it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first one. Barely played the second one. Bought it, barely played it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I
enough.
didn't like it.
You think maybe you didn't get far enough into it to form a full opinion on
Probably.
it?
So.
Yeah. It is what it is. So Ryan, what do you have going on? What's new with you?
Snape's black. Voldemort might be a woman. I don't actually think Voldemort might be a woman, but yeah, nothing. Just normal shit. Fucking chilling. That's my channel right there. I stream on
That's
on
my
Sundays.
channel.
I stream on Sundays and most Wednesdays. And of course, next week, this stream will be on my channel.
Yep.
So check me out there.
That's true. All of his links are in the description if you're not subscribed or following him already. Of course, I live stream video games Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays, 7 p.m. Eastern. Vera Virtue Show Wednesday evenings. Fuck My Life Monday nights. They are rotating shows though. So next week we will be live on Ryan's channel. You can subscribe to my
Wow,
second
a little
channel.
Wicked Virtue promo. I saw that. Yeah.
Is at the top left. Yeah. You can subscribe to my second channel, almost at 6K, which is really, really cool. I'm not 100% certain what I'll be streaming tomorrow. I think I want to do the Halloween and Ash vs. Evil Dead collection, the Retro Realms collection, which seems super cool. But on Thursday, I'll be starting Mouse PI for Hire. Next week or the end of this week on Saturday and Sunday and into next week, I'll be doing Pragmata, which I'm very, very hyped for. And yeah, guys, that's the end of the stream. I appreciate all of your donations, your support, your chatting, you being here, you hanging out, stopping by, and have a really great rest of your evening, everyone.